Hello, my name is Robin Jackson. From my interprofessional experience, I volunteered at a local food bank. As a volunteer, my duties included greeting those who donated items as well as those who sought items. I assisted other volunteers in completing inventory and basic cleaning duties. In an effort to answer the question, what makes a good interprofessional service member for public health, I began to really think about my experience at the food bank as a volunteer, as a Christian, and a public health professional. To be a good team member in any scenario, you must be able to lead and be led. To do this, you also must maintain an open mind and be able to be patient and understanding. As we all know, sometimes others are not so easy to work with for various reasons. I'm reminded of Proverbs chapter 16, verse 7. When a man's way pleases the Lord, he makes even his enemies be at peace with him. As children of God, it is our job to support and help those who are unable to help themselves. We can do this by recognizing what we, Christians and public health professionals, can bring to the table, if you will. At the food bank, I was able to incorporate several of the public health competencies. Social and behavioral sciences comes to mind. Due to the COVID crisis, the food bank was extremely busy. Several cultural and behavioral factors impacted community members in such a way they needed the resources offered to them by the food bank. I interacted with several individuals who suffered from mental health issues, addiction, and were homeless, and also individuals who had been laid off or lost their job due to the COVID crisis and were pending homelessness. I was able to listen to these individuals talk about their struggles and provide support. In some cases, I was able to also assist them with additional resources, mental health counseling, and ways to pay for their medication. During several of these interactions, myself and the other volunteers prayed with the individuals in need. A second public health competency is diversity and culture. I think that this experience exemplified this competency. As a volunteer and a public health professional, I was able to interact with both diverse individuals and communities during my experience. The volunteers that I work with were from diverse backgrounds. The manager was a paralegal. One volunteer worked at a bank, and the other was recently widowed, a widowed mother of two. Those who came requesting items from the food bank represented various backgrounds and cultures. What I thought was very interesting, even though the people were so different in that respect, everyone was so caring, genuine, and extremely grateful for what the food bank had to offer. Leadership was also apparent. Kelly, who was the manager of the food bank, demonstrated excellent leadership skills. She was fair, she was firm, and she was also able to listen to feedback offered to her by the volunteers and the people served, and if able, she would incorporate the feedback or idea into the current plan or agenda. There were times when I was briefly placed in a leadership role. Although I received positive feedback, I must admit I was a bit uncomfortable. I feel this was because I was unfamiliar with the system. The competency of professionalism was incorporated as well. During my time, not only was I, but the volunteers were able to demonstrate professional values, behaviors, as well as ethical choices. For example, Kelly discovered a community member who was sneaking in the back of the building and taking supplies. When confronted, this individual began to cry. Kelly held the woman and prayed with her, and then took her to the front of the establishment and explained how to request the food bank items. Lastly, systems thinking. In reflecting on this, those who were affected by COVID were victims of somewhat a failed system. Interestingly enough, those individuals were able to donate items to the food bank were mostly essential workers who were able to work and earn funds. These individuals clearly recognized that they could have easily been on the other side, in need of resources they were so willing to share. In summary, what makes a good interprofessional service member for public health? A person who is open-minded and caring. A good leader, but can be led as well. A person who can recognize the impact that culture and behavior can have on an individual in the community. A person who is professional in their behavior, their choices, and their decisions. Being able to identify the various systems that can affect an individual in their community. I would like to close with one of my favorite Bible verses. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 14. A good friend isn't someone who always agrees with you, what you do or what you say. A real friend is someone who is willing to challenge you, to be a better person. The team player encourages his fellow teammates to be better players. Thank you.